Today, we're taking a look at what is arguably the craziest football team ever. Before we get started, this is quite a switch up from the regular type of videos, but if you like it, let me know and maybe I'll make more in the future. Now, involving guns, neo-Nazis and a special needs school, this is the story of the Lazio Pistols. In the late 60s, Italy was a very economically and politically unstable place. Although, following the death of Mussolini, post-Italy was, after a rough patch, filled with a large economic boom brought forth by the industrialization of a large labour force. But with this sudden rise in the labour force and the rapid economic growth came problems. Long story short, you could see the nation as being divided politically between the left and the right wing. Lazio, at this time, were managed by former Roma player Tommaso Maestrelli. I do apologise for the pronunciation of names, I'm not quite a linguistic expert. Along with the manager, another two key members were Giorgio Chinaglia and Giuseppe Wilson, I fucking body those names man, who met in the years prior during their time at Napoli. Giorgio had previously lived with his parents and grandparents in Wales, where he found his love for football. He was even signed to Swansea after playing in their youth team, but was released due to clashes with coaches and teammates as a result of his lacking discipline. The two men, who both had ties to the UK, joined Lanzio just after their relegation to Serie B in 1969. But following a very successful season at the hands of the manager Maestrelli, the team returned to the top league of Italian football. Things on the pitch continued very well for the Rome club, and another key figure in this story, Luciano Resaccioni, joined in 1972, bringing with him his infamous midfield talent. However, off the pitch, things were very different. Remember the two lads that I mentioned earlier, Giorgio and Wilson? It turns out that they were the figureheads of the two factions that had formed within the squad, driving a deep divide, so deep that it required the two sides of the team to have separate changing rooms. This divide was mainly driven by the players' political ideals, with Giorgio making it clear that he'd be voting for the neo-fascist movement, Movimento Sociale Italiano, in the upcoming elections. This was greatly disliked by the public, and the Lazio striker resorted to carrying a .44 Magnum after having his shop, a side project in the city, broken into and robbed by rival fans. In fact, guns were a common theme throughout the club. Every single member of the Lazio squad was said to carry a gun, all apart from midfielder Resaccioni, the same guy who would often drift between the aforementioned separate changing rooms in a peacekeeper sort of role. The club loved their guns so much that, when travelling to away games, they would often set up homemade shooting ranges in the hotels that they were staying at, shooting everything from lampposts to birds, with defender Sergio Petrei once reportedly shooting the light in his room as he couldn't be bothered to stand up and turn it off. Eventually, this resulted in a special needs school returning a bullet that had ended up lodged in one of their classrooms. Throughout this chaotic time, more and more players would show their support to the prior mentioned neo-fascist state, making Lazio a stark contrast to other Italian football clubs, which were majority left-leaning. The squad members weren't even safe from each other during training sessions. Remember, in the 70s, no one really used shin pads during matches, but the manager enforced that they were worn by the Lazio side during training as a result of just how brutal the tackles and challenges were. In 1973, amidst the rising political unrest, which included bombings from both sides of the political divide, Lazio managed to win their first Scudetto, which is the Italian league title. But not everything was going to plan. Once, in a game against Hellas Verona, Maestrelli's team were 2-1 down at half-time. The team stormed off the pitch, but the manager knew that if he let them into the changing rooms, a war would break loose amongst the players. So he blocked the doors and, when the players reached the end of the tunnel, demanded that they return to the pitch and stayed there for half-time. After the break, Lazio scored 3 goals that went unanswered by Hellas Verona, taking them to a 4-2 win. Things went downhill from here, however. After a heated UEFA Cup leg against Ipswich Town, which ended in riot from both the Lazio players and supporters, the Italian club were banned from European competitions for 3 years. To go with this, the team was struck by several injuries, along with their manager Maestrelli being diagnosed with stomach cancer, causing him to step down the following season. Soon after, star striker Giorgio upped and left, just walked out the club, despite there being 3 games left of the season, and settled in America, joining Beckenbauer and Pele at the New York Cosmos. Following this, 6 months after his diagnosis, Maestrelli died from his stomach cancer and, 48 days later, Resaccioni was shot in a prank gone wrong, in which he pretended to pose as a masked robber, sticking up his friend's jewellery shop. Although, with this being 1970s Italy, everyone owned a gun, and the shop owner shot the man who he thought was a robber, but was actually his good friend, a longtime peacekeeper at the Lazio Football Club. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with the latest football breakdowns.